Section 3, diesel engine. General description of the engine of the cylinder D17000 caliber of the diesel engine will furnish with the power to drive the locomotive with internal combustion engine. They operate on the compression ignition principle of the burning of the oil, commercially known as the diesel fuel system of the spark plug. Externally heated surface of the engine position. Displacement is 1,662 cubic inches. Maximum speed of 1,000 RPM with the idling speed of the 400 to 420 RPM with each position required for the 4-stroke complete cycle operation for the working process as valve 2 figure 9 as stroke of the one of the action as the piston with the down with the inlet stroke with the drum through the air cleaners prepared for the inlet valve of the main combustion chamber of the diesel engine allow for the taking on full charge of the air in the inlet. Stroke weather, the operation idle speeding of the fully speed of the stroke tube with the depression stroke, the compression stroke with the both inlet and exhaust valve that are closed with the piston moved up the crowding with the air within the into the extremely small blade. The piston reach for the top of the center of the air is compressed 375 pounds per square inch. The high compression cover of the air to reach for the temperature higher than 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit with the fuel spray of the into the heated area and they will ignite and burn readily with the air being compressed with the main cylinder. Highly heated air current passes into the pre-combustion chamber. The air set aside with the ignite the fuel with the stroke 3 near the end of the compression stroke with the beginning with the power stroke with the fuel pump with the measured quantity of the fuel through the fuel line with the fuel injection valve with the spray into the pre-combustion chamber. This is fine. Alright, 1 starting on the bottom going to 19 on the left, all the way to 19 on the left. Air clean intaker, 2 radiator fan, 3 lubricating oil filter, pipe and cap, 4 lubricating oil reserve, 5 the air cleaner, 6 fuel oil transfer pump, 7 circulating water pump, 8 kerosene circulator water heater, 9 flexible exhaust pipes and muffler, 10 fuel oil filter, 11 primary lubricating oil filter, 12 fuel oil pressure gauge, 13 muffler, 14 roof hatch, 15 traction generator, 16 door check, 17 baffle over generator, 18 throttle linkage, 9 cab door. Alright, same thing for figure 8, except for 1 through 9 on the top, and 10 through 21 on the bottom from right to left. 1 pulley with a driving axle generator accelerator set at the air compressor. 2 the computer and commutator inspection cover. 3 the communicator release lever. 4 cylinder head cover. 5 exhaust outlet. 5 6 8 it says it should be thermostatic housing, and then 7 cooling water discharger, 8 air cleaner, 9 radiator cooling fan, 10 cooling water circulator, 11 lubricating oil pressure pump, 12 lubricating oil scavenging pump, 13 bayonet gauge, 14 hour meter, 15 upper sump drain plug, 18 lower sump drain, 17 secondary lubricating oil filter, 18 crank air case breather, 19 crankcase lubricating oil filter pump opening, 20 fuel flywheel housing, 21 traction generator. Alright, stroke 1 show the air cleaner, stroke 2 show the pre-combustion chamber, stroke 3 show the fuel injection valve, fuel injection pump, stroke 4 working process of the diesel engine. Alright, the spray heat with a quickly ignite with as much of the fuel as indicated with the valve enveloped by the flame with the gasified travel the opening into the main with the combustion chamber with the air, additional air available to complete with the combustion power. The power is then obtained with the piston forced down by the pressure with the expanding of the burning gas above it. The step forward the abs piston and move with the exhaust valve with the exhaust valve open the burn gas are forced out through the exhaust pipe. The smoky exhaust means efficient engine output with the indicating the fuel with the passing with the engine without being burned. The condition operation of the which under these conditions which finally govern the part of the cylinder cover with the excessive wear of the cylinder valve, the other part of the never overloaded by the engine. Fuel injection system, the driven fuel transfer pump, the draw of the form fuel with the fuel tank for the supply with the underneath the pressure of the fuel filter to remove the dirt and other foreign material with the fuel pad with the manifold with the individual fuel injection pump with one for each for the cylinder fuel injection pump mesh with the fuel and according to the engine load with the fuel horse fuel with the fuel injection line with the injection valve with the cylinder head, the injection valve with the left the fuel in the pre-combustion chamber with the ignited the pass to the engine. 2 the primary fuel system, make sure the emergency fuel valve is open with the fuel pump set the fuel tank to open the fuel filter vent valve with the C figure 11. Unscrew the fuel, hand priming fuel pump plunger operated with the fuel with the steady stroke feed figure 12 when the fuel flow through the vent valve becomes continuous causes no air bubble to close with the filter vent to unopen the fuel injection pump then in turn continuing the operation for the hand priming pump until each of the vent discharge solid fuel open the close of the vent several times in its succession to be sure that all air is bled from the system. All right, this is shows the hand priming pump with one on the far left and going around in clockwise position. 2 fuel injection line, 3 fuel injection pump, fuel line, filter injection pumps, 5 fuel return line, bypass valve, fuel tank to attach to its attach here. 6 the fuel pump bypass valve. 7 the fuel filter. 8 the fuel line for the transfer pump of the filter. 9 the fuel transfer pump. 10 the fuel inlet tank. After the system is primed, the hand priming pump plunger should be forced at the bottom of the pump cylinder, screwed into place, thus causing the valve seat to locate it on the bottom of the cylinder, which prevents air from leaking by the piston fuel injection system. Air cleaner. The air cleaners are provided with the intake of the inlet manifolds. Figure 11 show the open fuel vent, filter vent valve, and 12 operating of the primary priming pump. Alright, this starting at clockwise, 1 in a clockwise position, starting about 7 o'clock, and then to a clockwise position. Generator communicator tubber, 2. Traction generator type GE555A, baffle over generator muffler, flexible exhaust pipe muffler, roof hatch, air cleaner, intake 7, 8 air cleaner, 9 radiator cooling fan, 10 lubricating oil reserve, 11 lube cool water, circulating pump, 12 Van gauge, 13 hour meter, 14 upper sump drain plug, 15 secondary lubrication oil filter, 18 crankcase breather, 17 primary lubricating oil filter, 18 crankcase lubricating oil filter opening, 19 compressing lever in the ram position. Alright, to prevent the abrasive particles that present with the air from being drawn into the engine cylinder causing excessive wear, the air cleaner with the diesel engine will clean with the pass with the aerator with the volume of the air in the day's run with the air cleaner with the gasoline engine, diesel engine. Gasoline engine doing the same with the work of the like of the condition of the diesel engine cylinders drove with the full charge of the air and the inlet stroke with the regard for the engine speed of the amount of the work of the engine is doing. Intervals necessary between the oil change with the clean will vary with the weather with the working condition during the hot doisty months with the on job with the dust condition the severe. It must be necessary to serve with the diesel engine air cleaner with every 5 hours. In cold damp weather on job where there's little or no dust, the operation must be necessary only every 120 hours. However, the dependency should not be placed on visible detection of the dust or lack of dust there on the air basis over the surfacing of the air cleaner. The oil in the air cleaner must be saturated from dust because of its fineness, and its fineness must be more rapidly instant with where there's dust more apparent. Fine particles of dust must be suspended into the oil, lowering its spray with the efficiency, with the cleaning of efficiency, with leaving the noticeable sediment in the cup. Consequently, the best guide to following the surfacing of the air cleaner is the appearance of the oil in the air cleaner, which becomes increasingly cloudy. Lubricating the system for excessive wear of the moving parts of the engine must be the effectively lubricating system supplied with the clean oil bearing off the moving parts at all times. But the engine is running the pressure in this system is indicated with the gauge of the instrument panel with the engine man station. Pressure fail for the engine should be shut down without delay. With the oil flow through the system with the following manner: the figure 14 clean oil drum with the oil from the supply tank number 1, from the pressure pump 2, and 4 of the coil cooler 8, then engine oil filters 4 through the oil manifold with the bearing for the other parts of the engine. After lubricated, the engine oil drops down with the upper sump 5 of the engine oil pan. The overflow of the pump of the sump of the lower sump where it over the picked up with the scavenger pump 7 of the delivered absorbing the filter 8, then the supply tank 1 with this completing the cycle. The oil pump that has 2 sump of the upper sump of the 5. It acts as a settling base for the trap of the condensation with the other form material with the lower main sump of the sump 6. Receive the oil from the overflow pipe of the upper sump, but in this way, the most of the oil is shielded with the heating of the blow of the gases from the engine retarding oil deterioration. Or the supply of the scavenging pump of the 2 and 7 are of the gear type. They are for single unit amount of the time in the gear. However, the gear driven with the oil pressure to automatically maintain with approximately 30 to 35 pounds by means of the bypass valve of the oil distribution system when the oil is cold. As may be the case during the few minutes for the operation, it may be bypassed around with the oil cooler to ensure the immediate lubrication of the engine. Figure 14 shows the diesel engine fuel flowing lubricating oil system from the oil supply tank. The goes within the oil line with the gravity overflow line to the drain and lower and upper sump. The bearings, engine oil filter, oil cooler to the bypass lower pump, so with the scavenging line with the to the upper and the overflow pump, the pressure pump, the scavenging pump, and from the pressure lines go the pressure line to the engine. Also goes from the oil sump pump pipe to the petcock ventilator air with the Michelin air filter and into the yep. Cooling system, internal combustion engine for the burning of the fuel for the cylinder generated more heat with the converter with the useful power with the excessive heat with the carried away with the by water with circulate through the core pads for the end of the cylinder water walls and heads. Water drawn is shown in figure 15 with the bottom of the header with the radiator with the two pumps and then one to each side of the engine delivered through the manifold of the two-cylinder jacket and back into the radiator passing through the radiator scope with the air drawn with the radiator tube with the engine fan. Alright, from left to right, and then a clockwise manner. Antifreeze filler pipe, 2, the radiator, and 3, the thermostatic housing, 4, the pump, 5, the engine water jacket, 6, the water heater, 7, the cab heater valve, the 8, the temperature gauge, the 9, air vent, the 10, the cab heater, 11, the drain valve, the 12, the water heater valve, the 13, the drain plug, 14, the fuel water filter jacket, and 15, the drain plug, 16, the pump, 17, the drain valve, 18, the radiator filler pipe, 19, the water level, the tricox, and 20, the radiator filler pipe. A thermostatic bypass valve is in line with the pressure for the engine for the radiator for the bypass for the radiator return with the water directly to the pump and lets it until the reach of the water reaches the temperature of 165 degrees for the engine and able to warm up quickly after start with it maintains an even temperature with a varying load with the thermometer located with the instrument panel with the engine position with the indicator for the temperature for the cooling water level of the region, leaving the engine except for the temperatures above the 190 degrees Fahrenheit abrupt change for the yield temperature indicate the trouble should be investigated immediately. Engine man can control the water temperatures and need with the radiator shutters and the hatch covering opening best operation is obtained with a temperature between 160 degrees and 108 degrees Fahrenheit. Cooling water. The system filled with the clean water, naturally soft water, as free with the possible scaling of the forming minerals as best but if it's possible to obtain soft water treated available with the water with the soft commercial water. Soft and water should be heated within a clean tank or barrel allowed with the sand before adding to the engine cooling system. They do not add chemical directly with the water into the cooling system. When this is done, insoluble compounds are sometimes formed within the clog of the small with the passage of the radiator and engine blade. Block. When the cleaning of the natural soft water is used with the cooling system and is possibly operated long periods without the drain. However, when soft with the water is used with the drain system frequently intervals to remove sediment and prevent concentration of softener or chemical. This should be done with the one end of the day's work with all material suspension will drain with the liquid. And 2, antifreeze. When the temperature is below freezing, insufficient antifreeze to prevent the freezing of the radiator or other exposed pipes. Alright, your commercial solutions are available for this purpose. The glycerin may be used with the alcohol can be used successfully because of the readily evaporates at the normal operation temperature for the engine with approximately 170 degrees Fahrenheit. But any alcohol should be tested frequently and each evenly daily kept up to correct strength. 3. Drain the cooling system. Open the drain valve line for the radiator pump to one on each side. Open the drain valve with the kerosene heater circle. Remove the pipe plug with the low water manifold on the right side of the engine. Move the pipe plug on the front end of the fuel filter housing on the left side of the engine. Open the shutoff of the valve on the cab heater circuit with the kerosene water heater circuit to prevent the trapping of the water in these circuits. The hour meter. The cover on the hour meter raised for the observer the red dial indicator. Your engine may be equipped with an hour meter that does not keep it the pace for the clock, but it does count the record of the revolutions of the engine. The dial advances with one number to each time the crankshaft has turned. Many of the thousands of revolutions are made with a clock hour of 850 RPM, but therefore, average engine operating speed is less than 850 RPM, but the clock time necessary recorded with an hour meter with proportionally greater than the hour meter will prove valuable to determine lubricating of the maintenance pairs when based on the engine revolutions. R17, your power plant principal control propulsion system circuits. G1 is the main generator. Where is she? Main generator. Diesel engine number 1, diesel engine number 2, throttle, reverse handle, generator 1, generator 2, contactors, A, E, F, and E, battery charging contactor, and E, exciter field contactor, 1 and 2. Battery charging contactor 1 and 2, number of traction motors, traction motor number 1, 2, 3, and 4, reverser, battery contactors, power traction motor contactors, P1, 2, and 3, and 3, and 4. Yeah. Section 4, electrical systems.